Oh, man. So week 7 of college football was kind of wild. That Oregon-Washington game was just chef's kiss, just mwah. We'll talk about all that and more today as I give you my college football top 25. But stick with me until the end of the video because I'm also going to give you my current top 5 Heisman contenders where there was a lot of movement this week. But what's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know so. Go ahead, become bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content as always. Let me know what you think in the comment section below where we have that nice, that beautiful, that football discourse. Let's pour one out for the fallers on my list, starting with my Hurricanes. To you, baby, to you. Oh, I knew they had a cupcake schedule. I knew even that Texas A&M game was like, is that a good win? Are the Aggies good? They're not great. And I was like, hey, let's wait till conference play. And they are 0-2 in conference play. Granted, this week they looked much better than the previous week, but essentially they lost kind of a shootout here with Drake May and company. Tez Walker looked amazing for North Carolina. We'll talk more about North Carolina later, but tough loss for the Hurricanes. Hard to take them serious at this point, or at least seriously as a contender or even a top 25 team. We'll see. Maybe they come back up on this list later, but pour one out for the Hurricanes as well as Washington State. This was an embarrassing performance, losing at home to Arizona 44-6. Easily Cameron Ward's worst game of the season. These are back-to-back losses. I really thought they were going to rebound here because, I mean, the big wins were at home against Wisconsin, against Oregon State. They travel to UCLA. They lose seemingly close one. They could have tied it up there at the end at UCLA, but this was bad. This was, for me, this kicked them out altogether. And then they get Oregon in Eugene coming up, so it's not getting better for Washington. But then Kentucky, they slip out of the top 25 for me as well, losing to Mizzou 38-21. Rough couple of weeks for Wildcats defensively in particular, giving up a ton of points in Athens to Georgia. Don't really blame them for that one, but this against Missouri, not great. But let's cover some of my teams that just missed it here as I have Oklahoma State. Hey, they're like coming off big consecutive wins after starting the season kind of, I mean, what? They started 2-0. Lost a couple, and now they have consecutive wins against teams based in Kansas. Beating Kansas State. Now beating Kansas, granted no Jalen Daniels, but still Jason being one of the better backups in college football. So good win for Oklahoma State, man. So I don't know, maybe they've gotten things together in the last couple of weeks. Iowa's here, doesn't feel great. It really doesn't. They beat Wisconsin 15-6. 15-6, kind of a slog of a game, but they're 6-1. They're here. Florida, though, Florida got a good win. At the end of the game with a go-ahead touchdown with 57 seconds left to beat South Carolina 41-39. So honestly, this Florida team's looked much better since the opener. So hey, I think I projected Florida to have about 5 wins. So RA looking better than my projection for him. Fresno State coming off the loss to Wyoming. They get a good win against Utah State 37-32. They scored the go-ahead touchdown with 2 minutes left, and then they had an interception in their own territory to seal the game. So good on Fresno State. They're currently sitting at 6-1. And then Miami, Ohio, hello. They beat the brakes off of Western Michigan 24-21. They controlled that game all the way through. They had a good win earlier this year against Cincinnati. You'd be like, Cincinnati, they're not that great of a Big 12 squad, but still, that's a big win for a Miami, Ohio squad who is currently 6-1. So good on them. I have a ton of teams that are kind of on the outside looking in, like Toledo, Clemson, Troy, UCLA, Wyoming. Even they lost in a tough one, close one this past week. But let's go ahead and get to my top 25, starting with Liberty. They beat Jacksonville State 31-13. This offense can put up fireworks. They are one of only a handful of undefeated teams, but we're going to rattle off a couple of these undefeated teams. One, you got Air Force beating Wyoming in a very close game. They scored a 58-yard go-ahead run with 2 minutes left to win that game 34-27. Good on them. They're kind of in control right now of the Mountain West. You have James Madison, who just demolished Georgia Southern 41-13. They are covering. I think they have covered in every game this season. Hey, good teams win, great teams cover. JMU, man, watch out. They might be a great team, but they're here at 6-0. I got Tennessee. They beat Texas A&M 20-13. Not impressive, but it was defense, it was special teams, really won the day. That offense can't really get things going. And even when they get to the red zone, they can't finish. So, Tennessee, they need to get better. I think they get Alabama. They got travel to Tuscaloosa this week to face Alabama. So, it's kind of a make or break game. And to be fair, it's not like Alabama's a world beater at this point. And then Tulane sitting here at 21. They beat Memphis 31-21. They had a big second half. Kind of led them in that game. So, good on Tulane. They're a team I got a nice warm spot here. I think they're easily the best team in the American Conference. But going to 20, I got USC. Yep. I started dropping USC down last week because I was like, they're having a lot of close calls against not great teams. And then they go to South Bend and they get put in the wood chipper. Caleb Williams, 3 interceptions in the first half. They lose 48-20. A very bad loss, and it doesn't get easier. They got Utah, which, hey, we're still waiting. Cam Rising, are you there? Are you there, Cam? Or maybe he comes back, but Utah, that's a tough defense. And they still got, I believe, Oregon and Washington on the schedule, so kind of tough. I kind of got them trending down. Mizzou, they move up a spot from last week. Good big road win there against Kentucky. So they're sitting at 6-1. I like that. Utah beat California 34-14. No Cam Rising. No problem. When is this man coming back, though? When will Utah have a consistent offense? Because this defense has just been carrying them. Really has. Notre Dame, I got them back up to 17 after beating the brakes off of USC, man. That defense just ran roughshod over Caleb Williams. I think Notre Dame actually has a week off, which they kind of deserve it. I mean, I think they're like one of maybe the only team currently in the FBS with 8 games already played. So yeah, you rest easy, Notre Dame. You've earned it. And then I do have Louisville still 1 spot ahead of them. Remember, Louisville got the win over Notre Dame, but they lost this week. Big letdown for the Cardinals. They were missing Jordan, their running back, early. He only played like 14 snaps, and it really hurt the offense. Really did, losing this one 38-21. The defense couldn't stop. Was it Christian Velo? I don't know how to say his last name, but it was his first career start. And the man went off. Yes, I did. So bad loss after a big win for Louisville. That really made me sad. But sitting at 15, still Duke. They're just hovering around in this spot. Don't know when Riley Leonard will return, but no Riley Leonard, no problem this week as they just control that whole game against NC State 24-3. I believe they get Florida State this week, so they're traveling to Tallahassee. So something to keep an eye on if they got a healthy Riley Leonard or not. And then I got the Oregon State Beavers. They beat UCLA 36-24. The defense was far too much for UCLA. They forced Oregon State forced 3 turnovers. Was impressive. They did a good job of neutralizing the pass rush of UCLA. Watch out, Oregon State, man. They got that one little hiccup against Washington State. But man, this is a good Oregon State team. It really is. LSU steamrolled Auburn 48-18. It was like they got hot in the second half. It was literally a warm knife through butter. LSU's offense, man, undefeated. Now, if their defense could show up, please. Ole Miss had the bye this week. They're sitting at 5-1. They will get Auburn, so should be a win in theory. But teams coming off their byes haven't necessarily been great this season thus far. And I'm not saying there's a reason for that or whatnot. I'm just saying right now, teams coming off their byes aren't playing well. So, unless you're Penn State, but it was UMass. But we'll talk about Penn State in a little bit. Alabama's still sitting here at 11. They beat Arkansas 24-21. Like, Bama let Arkansas get back in this game in the second half. They really, really did. They were able to hold them off, but this is like a banged up Arkansas team too. They're playing hurt. Arkansas, probably one of the best 5-loss teams in college football. Like, all their games, I think, have been close. LSU, BYU, Alabama. I believe Ole Miss was close for a period. A&M it was close, but A&M just kind of like ran away with it. So, like, yeah, man, Arkansas is still a tough team, but still Bama, it's like there's really no consistency with this squad right now. So it's hard to really put them any higher than this. Even 11 feels a bit rich. It does, but they do have to win over Ole Miss. Going to my top 10, Texas still sitting here at 10. They had a bye last week. They will return this week and take on a Houston team that got a very fun win against West Virginia, where they went off the Hail Mary. And then I have Oregon. I'm not going to drop Oregon a lot. They lost to a top 10 squad in Washington, and it was a missed field goal at the end. They lose 36-33. Like, they needed a score at the end of the game. Like, Oregon had a shot to win it. They moved down the field, but the thing was, man, on that last drive, instead of taking some shots to the end zone, they played for the field goal rather than settling for it. Really didn't like that. But honestly, they played a good game. I felt like that game could have gone either way for Washington or Oregon. So Oregon gets they get Washington State. They're gonna railroad Washington State. This is gonna be a ticked off Oregon team. We saw what they did to Colorado. I'm just saying. We saw what they did to Colorado at home. Yeah, no, this is gonna be a get right game for Oregon. And then at number 8, I have North Carolina. They beat my Miami Hurricanes 41-31. Devontae Walker, was his second game back. Huge game. I'm going to be talking about him tomorrow on the Stock Report, where he had 3 touchdowns, over like 130 yards. A guy that didn't think he was going to be eligible to play this year because the NCAA committee is trash. But good to see him. So Drake May now with another weapon. So the offense, man, scary there. The defense playing really well. Like, yeah, they gave up 31 to Miami. Miami's got a really good offense. Like, let's not act stupid here. Like, that offensive line is pretty good for Miami. Tyler Van Dyke's playing good football for Miami. It's just they're poorly coached. There, I said it. Oklahoma had the bye. They're here at 7. Good on them. They're going to return against Central Florida. So, they're already 19-point favorites. Good on them. Washington just kind of went over that with Oregon. They beat Oregon 36-33. This was at home for Washington. They were able to get the run game going well, but then they had like consecutive drives where they went away from the run game. It just kind of didn't make sense. Michael Penix had one heck of a game, playing through what may have been a rib injury after taking not even a sack. It was just a hit while he was throwing the football. But I got kind of scared. I was like, oh man, Washington they scored too quick. They left too much time on the clock. And I'm not gonna lie, they kind of lucked out on the missed field goal. Kickers just had to kick it straight. Didn't happen. But great performance by Michael Penix and Rome Odunze. You had Polk and was it Gilbert Jackson, who was filling in for McMillan, who got banged up early. But going to my top 5, Penn State sitting here number 5. They beat the tar out of UMass, as they should. Coming out of a bye and you get UMass, gotta feel good. They win 63-0, but they will have to travel to the Horseshoe next week for Ohio State, who is my number 4 squad here. They beat the brakes off of Purdue 41-7. They didn't have Emeka Ibuka, but that was really no problem. I'm sure they're probably just hoping to get him for next week. So they were looking ahead there like, hey, let's just make sure we're healthy going into next week. It's going to be a big game, man. Penn State, this is your opportunity to be like, hey, this ain't just a 2-team race for the Big Ten. Younger brother Penn State is here. So that's going to be an interesting one. Florida State still sitting here at number 3 for me. Beat Syracuse. Easy win. Keon Coleman had an unbelievable game. An amazing catch. One of the catches of the year. They win against Syracuse 41-3. I switched Georgia and Michigan. Georgia no longer my number 1. They were been my number 1 since the beginning of the year. And Brock Bowers goes down hurt. Hopefully everything's good with him on the ankle injury. But Vandy was in this game for far too long. Like, Georgia came in 30.5, I think. 30.5 or 31.5 point favorites. And I had confidence that they were going to win this game. But by 30, I bet it down to minus 23.5. And Georgia was like, no. We're not going to get that other touchdown. It was 30-20 with like 6 minutes left to go. Vandy fought back, but Georgia was just too much. They went 31-20. So not a cosmetically pleasing victory. Not like Michigan, who had a very cosmetically pleasing victory, winning 52-7 over Indiana. They got off to a slow start. Matter of fact, going into the second quarter, they were down 7-0. And then they score 52 straight. They just couldn't be stopped. Like, Michigan's a really good squad. They have, after back-to-back weeks, they have those cosmetic victories. You love seeing it. Who does Michigan have next week? Michigan State, which they're in their own little... They're in their own little down. Things aren't good in Michigan State. Let's just go with that. But let's go ahead and get to my top 5 Heisman contenders. Listen, I know you love the NFL draft as much as I do, and you're going to want a nice hefty watch list of players during this college football season. Well, go ahead, check out my draft guide. You can purchase it for only $30 by Venmoing or PayPaling me. Links in the description. It's a one-time payment and you get it for this whole draft cycle and forever and always. Technically, it's a Google spreadsheet. So send me your email when you send the payment. I'll get you hooked up. You will see my current prospect rankings and big board, my full evals. And guess what? It updates throughout the whole draft cycle. So it's a great purchase and it's a great way to support the channel. Starting the list, we got Drake May, who, boy, oh boy, had one heck of a game against my Hurricanes. Went for over 270 yards, had 4 touchdowns. This is now back-to-back games with 4 touchdowns. He's got Virginia next week, so he's just going to continue to pad the stats for that currently undefeated North Carolina team. At number 4, I have Jaden Daniels. He continues to have an impressive season where he is currently over, or at least close to 2,300 passing yards. He has over 500 rushing yards. He has 26 total touchdowns on the year. He plays for a team whose defense is kind of with LSU, so he has to score. He has to backpack the squad. He is aided by very fabulous playmakers at receiver, but he is putting up big numbers. Don't sleep on him. And then 3, it's still Dylan Gabriel. He had the bye this week, but he's put up good numbers thus far this season with over 1,800 yards passing. He has 21 total touchdowns. He's got Oklahoma playing good. They will have Central Florida this week. And then my number 2 is Caleb Williams. First time I haven't had him first all season. He had a bad game against Notre Dame. Threw 3 picks in the first half just wasn't a great look. Listen, great players have bad games. It's as simple as that. Peyton Manning had his fair share of them back at Tennessee. So, like, yeah, we can maybe over-exaggerate a little bit. Like Caleb Williams is a great player. Can he get this USC team locked in, back on a roll as the schedule does get tougher for USC? I don't know. We'll see. Maybe he starts to make a fall down this list. But number one, after his performance against Oregon, it's got to be Michael Penix, man. He is playing great football. Threw for over 300 yards, had 4 touchdowns. It was a gritty performance. As again, he was playing with maybe an injury after taking a hit on a pass to the midsection. Again, really a real gutsy game by Michael Penix. To me, he is the current favorite. And I think there's some good distance between him and the rest of the pack. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. That's it for the video. Go ahead, do that YouTube thing. And as always, until next time, be easy, my friends. Later.